All right, and because I couldn't find the actual trailer I wanted to play, I figured it's about appropriate to do a back to school time one since it's that time of year, I guess, for people who are in school. But yeah, welcome to episode 3 of the Dangertainment Podcast. I'm Phil from Outside the Box Reviews.
And I'm Colin from Broken Glory Gaming.
And so you picked this month's movie. We kind of skipped doing a regular episode just because there's too much crap going on in August. But we already played the trailer, but you want to introduce it?
We've had pretty much we're combining both into one because this month we both had a lot of plans. I just got back from being up north, and so he did all the convention stuff, and I figured, okay, instead of torturing him with Godzilla, I decided to do a movie that I enjoy. We both enjoy, actually. But recently, a podcast that got me into enjoying podcasts called Drunken Zombie. Look them up. I highly recommend them. They started sharing our podcast. So I thought, you know what? I'll pick a movie that they got me into. And it's a movie I've loved ever since I saw it, Trick or Treat. So, yeah, I've decided not to torture him with Godzilla 98 just quite yet. When he throws one that I know I'll hate, I'll throw that at him.
And that means I'll be picking not so horrible movies, I guess, for the foreseeable future. Let's hold off a little bit more on having to revisit that mess of a film.
Yeah.
But we're going to, as I said, we're going to kind of make what we tried to do last month in 2 episodes, kind of cram it all into 1 episode. So we'll talk about the movie a little bit later, but I figured we'd talk about other random stuff we've picked up or done to start off here.
Yeah.
And, so early in the month, first weekend of the month, I think it was. Yeah, right? I have no clue. I have no concept of time anymore. But there was a local toy show here, and I gotta admit I was a little disappointed when I actually went. Just not a whole lot of variety available at any of the vendors. I've gone a few times before. I actually bought quite a bit of stuff the last couple times, but I felt like a lot of the vendors were kind of running out of stuff. I ended up buying 2 older McFarlane horror figures, and those are the only toys I bought at a big old toy show. There were a couple of vendors I went to, and it was like, I thought maybe I want to get some of their stuff. Somebody I bought some Godzilla stuff from in the past. Some guys that had different horror or figures and stuff like that. Just nobody had anything I was really all that interested in, so I ended up just buying a bunch of movies instead of toys. But you went and got a collectible that you'll probably never be able to sell unless you want to sell something, right?
Well, he did the convention, which I gave him some stuff to pick up for me, which we'll go into in a few minutes. I really couldn't find anything up north. I mean, there were a few stores I went into that had a few figurines that I thought he would like. They had an Exorcist, Reagan, the spider walking down the stairs. And it was a place that was selling the Shoujo Deadpool for $90. So
Kotobukiya, you mean, right?
What?
The Kotobukiya Deadpool, right?
Oh yeah, Kotobukiya. Never mind. I thought I screwed it up. And I was thinking, okay, this got to be an astronomical price. Reagan was $30, so I'm assuming it's around the same price online. So if you're looking for her still, look it up. She might be cheap for those collectors who haven't picked her up yet. But while I was up there, me and my brother got matching tattoos, which would be from one of my favorite movies, Jurassic Park. Which, if I need to explain what the hell these two are, you've been living under a rock.
Well, I mean, you have a cool dinosaur on one side of that, but the other one is just like a complete piece of shit that eats cell phones. So I really don't get that. But, you know.
Hey, awesome tattoo. Don't care. Shut up.
But, yeah, so beyond the lackluster convention and you going and buying a ton of cheese or something up in Wisconsin, today we went, the same thing as usual at the toy convention, and today I went and bought a bunch of freaking movies from, shameless plug for him, I guess. Got Ray's Movie Crypt. It's usually at the Jacksonville Beach Flea Market or Jacksonville Beach Boulevard Flea Market, if I can actually talk like a normal 3D human. So yeah, if you are around here and you want like really crazy horror DVDs, definitely head there.
He also does a lot of conventions, whether they're being in town or at Spooky Empire in Orlando. He does that every time he gets a chance. I mean, granted, we can't all make every convention on demand, but he tries to hit the two big ones that Florida are known for.
Well, the one big one that Florida's known for, and then a local toy show. But yeah, so you want to talk about your pickups first?
Sure. While I was up north, Phil picked up for me was Fright Night, which I've never had a real copy. I've always had the mixed copy with Urban Legends. And I was like, you know what? I want my own. So, Santa Claus. I've never heard of this. He sent me a photo and went, "Oh my God, I must have." Because who doesn't love a killer Santa Claus? But I don't know. Have anybody's heard of this? It kind of looks like a half porno. Didn't we have this conversation earlier about YouTube and porn? But
it's an exploitation movie, no matter how you slice it. So
yeah. So that
just penetrating people in the movie.
Yeah. And then one that I'm really happy, I need to find the third one, but Phantasm 4. So happy I finally got it. I've only seen the first Phantasm, but I thought, hey, why not collect them? Because, why not have the whole series? What's the worst I can do?
Pricey series, but now that you paid $30 for Phantasm 4, I'm sure Scream Factory will be releasing a box set for about $20 soon, just because that's how it normally seems to work out.
Yeah. I'm the cooler. If anybody gets that reference, props. And then today we went to just a random stop by because he got a text from Ray. We decided, why not? And I thought, why not? I could see some movies. One I've been looking for a few years. Granted, it's in a pack, but I've been looking for The Lost World, the 1960s copy. I'm happy I found this and can't wait to watch it. Woohoo! And then what?
That's a 60s version of it? I didn't know there was a remake.
Yeah, there's a million. Not counting the TNT, I think it was TNT series that they made.
Interesting. I don't
know
the original and semi-remake that Steven Spielberg made.
Yeah, it's the one that's known for having like an alligator and a lizard with horns on their heads. It's that copy. It's that one.
Nice.
And then I don't know why, but I just like killer doll movies. So I picked up Devil Doll. That's the one, it was a random find. I thought, why not? So those were my pickups and from the toy show that he grabbed for me and then today. So on to you.
The ones I picked up at the toy show, I don't even have them with me right now. I can look them on my phone. But I picked up a lot of crap at the toy show because I could. Yeah. Phone real quick and find them. Yeah. Phone's never slow until I need it to be fast. So I picked up a documentary called Fantastic Dinosaurs with Movies just because Godzilla was on the cover. Tyler Reanimator. It came from beneath the sea. Reptilicus. The Old Dark House. Monsters Crash the Pajama Party, which looks like it's ridiculous. The Hammer horror set that has Dracula, Prince of Darkness, Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, and Frankenstein Created Woman, which I thought completed the Hammer Dracula series for me, but I found I still need Scars of Dracula, which I think I might have seen at a local store. So I might have to go hunt that down next weekend or something. And then 100 Years of Horror, which was a horror TV show hosted by Christopher Lee. And I remember seeing it on Netflix a while back, and since Christopher Lee's passed away, I kind of wanted to revisit it. So now I own it on DVD. And then today's grabs got a basket case, which is pretty awesome. It's a ridiculous movie, but it's awesome. Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, because I'm trying to go pick up every so often, just pick up another Ray Harryhausen movie, just because I kind of want to watch more of his stuff. Toxic Avenger Part 2, because we all know Troma makes the classiest and highest production value movies around. And then the Century of Science Fiction, also hosted by Christopher Lee. I thought maybe it fit in with 100 Years of Horror, similar idea. For all I know, watch would be the exact same thing, crammed into a single disc, which I highly doubt. But and then I picked up Zombie 3, 4, and 5, which I'm not sure. I assume because Zombie is really Zombie 2. I'm pretty sure that completes the Zombie series, or at least gets me to part 5. I don't know how they've done, but yeah, pretty sure there is no movie just called Zombie 2 because I think Zombie is Zombie 2 because Zombie is Dawn of the Dead. But yeah, so that was my all movies.
You have Zombie?
Yeah, it should be on my shelf there. Colin's sitting in my living room, and you can tell me if I own it. I'm pretty sure it's there.
Yep, it is.
They told you. I kind of know what I own.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Well, that was actually a joke because I kind of don't know what I own most of the time.
Says the one who needs to pull out his phone every time we're at Ray's. Do I have this?
Pretty much. I need to stop buying DVDs just because I am vaguely interested, or I saw it once and oh yeah, I can own that because I saw it once and kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're turning into me.
Yeah, it's not good. Definitely. That's, that's how it walks out. Yeah, other pickups. Not really pickups, but I just pre-ordered Alien Wave 5 from NECA. So that should hopefully be in by the end of the week. And that has the Aliens Ripley, the Torn in Half Bishop, and then the 2 Genocide Alien Xenomorph Warriors that originally were in the Toys R Us 2 pack, and now they're just individual. So I'm excited to get those and review them. I did another review of the Alien Mini-Mate figures, so I'm going to tie that in with all of that. Just going to make a giant block of Alien reviews. I also ordered another X Plus statue because I'm a sucker for those now. They're freaking addicted as hell, especially because Monster Arts hasn't been making much of anything lately, so I've got to get my Godzilla fix elsewhere. But I think it's about it for what I have to say before we go to the movie. You got anything else before you want to talk about Trick or Treat?
Yeah, if you're in the Jacksonville area and you either you know of Spooky Empire in Orlando and CUA, great deals, great choice of B movies, current movies, and hard to find movies. Just give them a look. Or if you're in Jacksonville, Beach Boulevard Flea Market, go there and he'll.
Sell you movies.
Wow, I'm blank.
Go there and he'll sell you movies. If you want,
That's it.
Asshole. I don't know. Yeah, so We started off with Mad Men. We did a bit of a plot summary. So you want to give us a brief plot summary of Trick or Treat? I'll completely put you on the spot with that one.
You're better with that. After our talk with the movie, you're better with the plot.
All right. Well,
I just ramble.
Trick or Treat is a horror anthology film. Takes place on Halloween night. And by the way, this is Trick or Treat, not Trick or Treat, the movie with Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne. So
we'll eventually get to it, though.
We probably will. I have a friend that makes a yearly tradition out of watching it and listening to the soundtrack. And yeah, that has its own cult following. But
we'll watch it eventually. I've never seen it, but I own it because you made me pick it up. So
I haven't seen it since I watched it with my friend like years ago. So it will be an interesting one to revisit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Trick or Treat, horror anthology, following several different groups of people or stories on Halloween night in one town. I guess we can go chronologically. Do we go chronologically through it in real time, or do we go how the movie presents it? How would you want to?
I say the movie, and we can go chronologically when we talk about the movie.
All right. So starts off, we see a couple coming home from Halloween. They get, well, I don't know. It's like, do you want to just talk about it instead of doing a plot summary? Just talk about the individual segments because
all right,
literally just like people gather together, people die.
Since this movie is an anthology movie, we're actually just going to discuss each plot as it goes along. How about that? We'll give you the plot summary of each segment.
That probably would make the most sense, I think.
So, since it's the first, should we start with the teacher or the bus?
We'll go to the bus is a flashback, so let's keep that as a flashback. So we'll
okay.
start with the interesting thing about the way it's spread out is everything's interspersed, intercut, so you see different parts of the movie at different parts. It lines up kind of weird, but there's triggers in certain parts where you can kind of say, okay, well, this happens at the same time this happens, so you can match up the events and make your own timeline out of it, I guess. But sure.
But all of them do intertwine with each other, so it's kind of hard to describe when it happens in the movie. But we're gonna do the best of it but even though we're talking about one part, I mean, like, there's a werewolf segment that happens throughout the movie. They go back and forth between each segment. They talk about the werewolf part. So we're just gonna do the best to describe as they interlock.
And obviously, if you haven't figured it out by now, there are going to be spoilers. And I honestly think if you haven't seen this movie, as much as well, yeah, you need to go freaking see it. It's probably on Netflix or something. I know it was like a $10 DVD years ago when I bought it, so it's probably cheaper now.
Yep, $10 Blu-ray, $50 Blu-ray.
Yeah, I don't know, actually, $10 Blu-ray. Yeah, but I guess I can just say offhand, it's a movie that I was drawn to because at my local FYE at the time, there was this action figure from NECA hanging on the pegs from a movie called Trick or Treat. Never heard of the movie, but there was this little kid in a burlap mask, and it was intriguing. It was an interesting little character. And then I went looking for the movie, found out it had premiered at some film festival and never really gotten a real release. And it just so happened that fall, it was actually going to finally come out on DVD after it was years that the movie was kind of stuck in limbo. So I checked it out, and it became my favorite Halloween film. It really just encapsulates the feeling of Halloween to me. It has some great imagery of just, fall streets and pumpkins everywhere and generic Halloween costumes that don't exist anywhere in the world anymore. And to me, it just has a great Halloween vibe. It's then you go grab, Halloween treats or whatever and sit down and watch the film. So that was kind of my introduction to it. It's become a yearly tradition for me to watch it every Halloween.
You're talking about the festival. It's winner of the Audience Choice Award for Screamfest.
Is that like some of those festivals are so interchangeable? Is that also like the Shout Fest and the
Fright Fest?
Fright Fest?
Isn't there a Fright Fest?
Yeah, is it Fright Fest the one that's in England? I don't know.
I don't know. I think so.
Adam and Joe are driving to.
Or hitchhiking, whichever. Like I said before, my love for this movie came for listening to the podcast Drunken Zombie, and they always talk about movies, but there was one they always talked about, and it's where they talked about, and one of the segments intrigued me. It's the Old Man Creed.
Big Creed, yeah. I don't think he's in a 90s Christian rock band. He's not related to Apollo.
Okay. But they started talking about that, and I was intrigued. So I hunted the movie down, and I picked it up, and I've loved it ever since. It's one of the rare, I can't really say current, because it's 10 years old?
Yeah, it's a little on the older side now.
Yeah. But I've loved it ever since. I at least have to watch it at least once a year because it's that high in my repertoire of lists. So, which story do we start off first? With the opening of the movie, or should that be the very end?
Yeah, well, chronologically, we'll start off with the kid smashing pumpkins. Speaking of crappy '90s music, and I'm sure I'll get some hate for that one. I'm sorry, Billy Corgan sounds like a dying duck trying to sing emo music. But anyway,
yeah.
So yeah. Kid's knocking pumpkins off ledges, just being a jerk. He's not wearing a Halloween costume. He uses a t-shirt that says, "This is my costume." Comes to a house with an honor bowl of candy, just take one, and he just starts shoveling them into a bag. And the guy who lives there comes home. It's the school principal, and kind of sits him down and talks to him about the rules of Halloween and how nobody really respects the rules of Halloween anymore. That you're supposed to wear a costume. You're supposed to keep jack-o'-lanterns out and do these things that were done in ancient times to protect people from evil. And they became the Halloween traditions, but people just don't care anymore. They don't respect those traditions. And kid starts choking on the candy he's eating because there was one more rule that he neglected, which was to always check your candy. And
does anybody follow that rule?
What was that?
Does anybody even follow that rule?
I did as a kid.
I never did.
Oh. How many razor blades did you eat?
None.
Wow. Good for you.
I'm just saying, that's the one rule no one cared about. Granted, I don't think it was a big issue in the 90s.
I think that was something that was more of an urban legend. I mean, I'm sure it probably happened.
Oh, yeah.
But, you always get that neighbor that gives you,
toothpaste?
I was going to say toothpaste. Those people, there's a special place in hell for those people. No, it's homemade crap.
Yes.
Parents all throw that right out.
Yeah, I threw that stuff out. That was a common knowledge. But I'm talking about if you get a Butterfinger,
My parents would always make sure that it wasn't ripped open at one end and somebody could put.
Yeah, I meant that. I meant check your candy, as in I thought you actually had to tear your candy bar apart.
Oh yeah, I put my X-ray machine. I don't know. Wasn't that Simpsons Halloween episodes?
Yes, I think so.
But anyways, so yeah, kid starts vomiting up chocolatey blood. And principal drags him inside, and then we see the principal burying a body in the backyard. His kid's being an annoying little prick, and he finally buries the writhing corpse in the backyard after being accosted by his neighbor. And goes in to help his kid carve a jack-o'-lantern. We kind of are led to believe he's going to murder his son, but they actually have the fat kid's head on a plate, and they're carving his head.
Spoiler alert.
I think I already gave a spoiler alert.
No, it didn't.
Pretty sure I said spoiler alert.
For werewolves.
I think I just meant overall, but okay. Sorry, I ruined the first 10 minutes of the movie for you.
Anyway.
I'm going to spoil the rest of it. So if you don't want to know who Luke's father is, and you don't want to know that the Planet of the Apes is really Earth, you can just go to hell right now. Anything else I could spoil? Rosebud is actually, I don't know if I've actually seen that movie. Led. Tyler Durden is Tyler Durden.
Anyway. Yeah.
He is mentally challenged after being beaten by a Russian. Wasn't the plot of Rocky V?
I've not seen it.
Oh, well, spoiler alert.
I didn't even hear you, Mike. The computer went.
Your computer is becoming a transformer. Congratulations. Oh, spoiler for those movies. They suck ass.
Not all.
We can have that argument another time.
First one's good.
All right, the first one's the most tolerable.
That I'll take.
Okay, but anyway, so yeah, this first segment the first segment we're talking about, it's the first chronologically, at least. There's another piece that goes right alongside it, and like I said, all these things kind of cross interweave each other. But I'm going to call it the first segment because it's the first one we're talking about. It's my absolute favorite quote in the movie. It's, as I mentioned before, the guy's burying a body in his backyard, still living body in his backyard. His kid's sticking his head out the window and yelling at him and just being like, I want to go trick-or-treating, I want to go to the parade, just being an annoying little kid. And tells the kid to go inside, watch Charlie Brown. My favorite line. Charlie Brown's an asshole. Now I cannot never see Charlie Brown on TV without thinking he's an asshole.
Yep, I say it whenever I see the new Peanuts trailer in theaters. I always go, Charlie Brown's an asshole.
Cut out. It did not sound like you said peanuts.
But yeah, this is one of the first segments in the movie, and besides like being told, "Hey, this is Anna Paquin movie," woo, she's plastered everywhere that I remember whenever I heard about it. But it was funny watching this, and all of a sudden you see it's the fat kid from Bad Santa, let alone the first Kurt Connors from the true Spider-Man movies. So it was fun seeing it's like, wow, this is a direct-to-DVD movie, and it still has a decent cast, which we'll get more and more into who else is in it.
Well, I think it's worth pointing out, we're going to talk about the cast at all. Several people in this movie are from the X-Men franchise, specifically X2, because the director, Michael Dougherty, I believe he worked with Bryan Singer on those movies, right?
I think so.
Of course, I could have actually researched this and had better facts available, but yeah, from what I vaguely
we're still getting the hang of it.
But yeah, it's an interesting first thing because he kind of sets up the principal as this, I don't know, maybe shades of Dexter kind of killer, that he's just this very normal, innocent-looking dude. And I guess it's any serial killer. He was such a nice guy, except he found the 20 dead kids in his basement, got a costume and all that shit. But this first death here of the kid, or the first, whatever, numbers, I'm just whatever. But the death of this kid, I think is, I watch horror movies all the time, but his death is always hard to watch because he just is vomiting an unrealistic amount of it's bloody chocolate goo just flying from his mouth. And it's the sound design on it's gross. The And both the retching noises and the splatter sounds they added in there, it just like every time I just kind of have to turn away a little bit.
And as he's puking, the teacher's just sitting there carving the pumpkin, talking, telling him the rules, and he's sitting there just blah blah blah. It's so funny because it's just like I don't know whether to be sick or laugh.
It's a little bit of both, and I mean, it kind of shows you the kind of movie you get into right away when earlier in the film we're killing off a kid, and I really like the little details they put. The movie, I think, really lives by the little details they add in. So you see him drag the kid back into the house, and like on the table, you just see like almost kind of out of frame, but there's like a scale and different little jars of stuff, and you can see that he's been, very meticulously poisoning the candy that he's handing out, or probably just, a select bit of it. But we also find out later he's hiding razor blades in his chocolate bars and things like that too. But I really just like the attention to detail of having the actual poisoning apparatus in his kitchen or wherever it is.
I like the small details that this one had. That as he's dragging the kid in, the kid's puking up it turns out on his shirt is blood. He's now puking up blood, and throughout the rest of the segment, the teacher has all throughout one of the side of his shirt is just blood covered. And fast forward to the end of the movie, as they're segmenting parts of characters that have been in the film, you see his kid sitting on the doorstep dressed as his father, even with the blood shirt, the glasses, the hair, the carving of the pumpkin. And it was that nice details that every small detail means something in this movie. And it's amazing how much they put into that.
And I want to put it out there right now. The guy, the killer, the principal, his name's Stephen Wilkins. And, you might think he's a horrible person because he's murdering, assuming more than one kid. But the thing I think it really makes him a monster, find out his child's name is Billy. So that means the kid's full name is William Wilkins. And you just have to be a monster to do that to your child. I apologize to any of our viewers named William Wilkins.
Yeah. And there went 7 subscribers.
If there were 7 people subscribed to my channel named William Wilkins, that would be actually kind of impressive.
Yeah, if your name is William Wilkinson, make a comment below.
Wow. We're going to have this I'm Spartacus in the comments. I'm William Wilkins.
Yeah, I'm William Wilkins.
Whatever.
We're going to hell.
And yeah, so simultaneous with this, as I said, we see him, I guess maybe not going to the next one quite yet. We see him bury a corpse in the backyard, and then I always thought it was really weird that the end of the whole thing, the twist ending, it looks like a murderous kid, because he's basically complaining about how obnoxious his child is. And there's kind of reference made that he had killed the mother for being a bitch or something like that at one point. So, the kid's like, help me carve a jack-o'-lantern. You need to help me with the eyes. So later you see him going down to the basement, and he has this whole big dramatic thing. He's got the knife, the big butcher knife. You see him bring it down really hard, and then you see the kid's fine, and he's helping the kid carve the severed head of the fat kid. So he was obviously burying somebody else in the backyard, which is really kind of weird.
Or the head of the body.
Well, the body was squirming, so unless he
I thought there was a second body. I thought there were 2 bodies in there.
I guess I don't know, remember. I think there were a couple, but I guess we really don't know either way. But I just don't. That's the one thing with this segment that just kind of grates on my nerves is the fact that he does this big theatrical stab, and why? There was no real purpose that I could see. It wasn't like he was severing the head from the body. It wasn't like I think you see at the end the knife just stuck out of the side of his head, don't you? Or no, you don't.
There's a quick glimpse. Just not in the turntables part.
And that is the thing too. I mean, this movie kind of plays off a convention similar to Creep Show. They kind of have this weird association with the comic book that's used for the title sequences. I think they did a promotional comic book for the movie. And I think at some point you almost have to look at it in that respect, that maybe there's things happening in between the panels, or in this case, in between the scenes, every time the camera cuts, that there might be a little extra continuity in there that we're not quite seeing as viewers. Or at least that's me helping the movie out a bit for some of the weirder aspects of it. But yeah, while burying the body in the backyard, we're introduced to Krieg, his next door neighbor, who's an asshole that doesn't like Halloween. And he's this grumpy old dude. And that's a problem now. I'm trying to think, how do we even talk about this without talking about the other scene that kind of reveals his backstory?
All right, we're just gonna talk about something. Even though this segment it's out in the movie, it's the last segment. So there is a segment before the movie, before this part, that involves 3 kids and a what was it, a pumpkin patch? Gorge.
Oh, it's a group of kids bringing jack-o'-lanterns down to this quarry.
Yeah, quarry. There's a quarry. There was an incident in the past where the group of parents had a bunch of special needs kids, paid the driver to take care of the kids.
School bus driver.
Huh?
School bus driver.
What'd I say?
You said the driver. I was just trying to clarify.
Oh, yeah. School bus driver, and take care of the kids. Well, as he's getting ready to plummet off the cliff, one of the kids gets loose, that they're all chained to their chairs, their seats on the school bus. One gets out, gets a hold of the bus, and they plummet off the quarry and presumed all dead. Flash forward, turns out the neighbor is the school bus driver. So he hates Halloween, he hates anything to do with Halloween, and
I have to ask, just off the bat, does he hate Halloween because of this incident in the past, that this took place on Halloween?
I think so.
Bad memories?
I think so. I think it's a bad memory because even he's burning photos too.
Yeah. Why did it take him so long to burn the photos? Because this was enough time for him to turn into some young school bus driver, and then he became Stryker from X-Men 2. I mean, is he just pissed he couldn't dig up the kids and put them in their bones or something?
But he pretty much, in the segment, he scares off kids with his dog who dresses him up for Halloween, which I thought was funny.
I would love to be able to do that. I don't think my dog would ever tolerate me putting giant lights on his head and having him chase children.
Musty, do you want to chase children? Yeah. Oh, well. And so pretty much it starts off with him flipping through channels, and you see the party from what?
No, I didn't say anything.
Oh. And he's just kind of going off and on about stuff. Like he's drinking, he's watching shows, he's burning photos, and as he lets his dog out, he starts yelling at his neighbor from the past segment, and he hates Halloween. He just comes off as a guy who hates Halloween. And how does Sam get in?
I don't think we ever see how Sam gets in. I just watched this movie. Like how many minutes?
Yeah. Holy shit!
But I guess either way, I think we could just say Sam gets in, Sam attacks him, and it's, I think, a fantastic sequence. And this is really, like we said, it's the very end of the film, and Sam has popped up since the beginning. Every scene, we get a brief glimpse of him. In the previous part with the principal, he's one of the kids that comes to the door trick-or-treating. And you really just see this, he's a little kid in a orange onesie covered in patches and a burlap sack over his giant balloon head. And a really effective character design. I love the look of Sam. I think it was a fantastic way to do a character. Just it's so simple but very, very effective. And he just kind of represents the spirit of Halloween. He's the enforcer of these rules. And because Krieg isn't following the rules, he's not handing out candy, he's not wearing a costume, he doesn't like Jack-o'-lantern, he just hates Halloween. So, of course, Sam needs to go and correct his bad behavior. So he gets into his house. Like I said, I forget exactly how, if it's even shown, but he basically leads Krieg around the whole house and does creepy shit, writes stuff on the walls, has jack-o'-lanterns placed that burst into flames, crawls on the ceiling like he's out of Exorcist 3. And he does some Home Alone crap too, which I love. He like puts a bunch of marbles and razor blades on the floor or something.
Yeah.
And cuts Krieg's hands all up. So like you feel for the guy in a bit because he's trying to escape out of his own house. And because he's a paranoid shut-in, he has a billion little locks on his door. And with all this glass and stuff in his hands, he can't even manipulate the locks because you just feel how painful that would be. And eventually they get into a drag out, knockdown fight. Krieg has a shotgun. Sam is pulling a gauge from Pet Cemetery with a razor blade instead of a chocolate bar, which I thought was, once again, we've talked about two things back to back that are the whole movie apart from each other. So he set up that he got this chocolate bar from the neighbor, from the Stephen Wilkins, the killer neighbor. So he's got a chocolate bar with a razor blade that he then uses to slash tendons and things, which I thought was really cool set up.
But fight ensues. Sam loses a hand, gets his mask torn off, which reveals that he is a pumpkin head.
Not a giant Stan Winston creature.
No. An actual pumpkin with like a skull face.
Which, I guess, didn't it have that like Halloween 5, wasn't it the logo?
Yeah. But he pulls what was it? We made the reference while we were watching the movie. But his hand comes back to life, walks, picks up the mask, drags it back to him, and just reattaches itself, puts on the burlap mask. And another thing that he's known for is having a lollipop that's jagged that he kills people with. And it's so funny to see him grab a lollipop, take one bite, and it's already a serrated edge. So he walks up to Creed, and he just comes up and just stabs the candy, which I guess saved him. That's the one part of the segment I never got until just recently.
Well, my justification for the scene, I think I said, as horrible as it is to quote, I think it's the Riddler in Batman Forever. If I kill you, you won't learn nothing. So, yeah, I just made that reference. Don't judge me too badly. But basically, it's forcing him to get into the Halloween spirit. If you're not enjoying Christmas, Santa and his elves show up and make you appreciate the magic of the season and make you want to willingly participate and be, in the Christmas spirit. But Sam, you're not in the Halloween spirit. I'm gonna fuck you up until you are, and then I'll take your candy because really I was just here to trick or treat. So, all right, bye, asshole. But I love
trick or treat, motherfucker.
Yeah, pretty much. There we go. Tying with the podcast. But I thought it was cool because instead of having, in so many horror movies, we see supernatural characters that you shoot them a billion times, they don't die, or they shoot them, the bullet goes right through them. Here we have a character that takes physical damage, but he's a freaking pumpkin. So none of it really matters. Like pumpkin guts don't really apply. They're not like his blood; they're just there. And I'm assuming because he's fighting William Stryker, he's part of the Weapon X Plus, Weapon Plus program. So he has regenerative properties or something. I don't know. It's the Deadpool of pumpkin men. But one of the
Just
things,
without the wisecracks.
well, they did sew the mask of the costume up. I don't know. Does that count? But anyway, the one thing I really always have appreciated about the character is that they actually had a child playing him. And I thought that brought something to the design of Sam, or the name of the character. I don't really remember if it was Sam, but which is short for Sawin, but it's spelled Sam Hain. So yeah, that's very confusing. But anyway, like having a child portraying the role gives it this type of motion, this that you can't get out of having maybe like an adult little person or somebody play Sam. It just you can tell it's a kid, and it really helps the character. But yeah, so after we see Krieg gets screwed up, and Sam takes the candy and leaves, and we get a scene later on, and we'll talk about the full end scene probably at the end of the podcast. But we see that Krieg has gotten into the Halloween spirit. He has adorned himself with bandages to cover up all his wounds, but it comes off as a mummy costume, and he's handing out his like bits and just random crap that an old guy would have around the house to the children trick or treating, which I thought was just a hilarious thing. He's not any candy; he's just handing out stereotypical, hard candy stuff that every old person seems to just have around their house.
Yeah.
So it comes with a social security check that is going to give a bag of hard candy. But and I've just alienated all of our 80-year-old plus viewers. I'm just losing everybody tonight.
Yeah. Leave your hate mail at him.
Wait till you start hearing my material on Martian conjoined twins. I'm gonna lose all those viewers too. All right, but
anyway, at the very end, it's he's giving kids candy, and so he goes in. His night's over. He hears one more knock at the door. Opens up. It's the kids from the school bus, and they pretty much it cuts to comic book panels, but they pretty much kill him.
Yep. And I guess going with that, we can go talk about. I guess actually that one would be the last chronologically to talk about, because the next one is the cover of the poster Anna Paquin's sequence. And yes, we see a group of girls getting dressed up. They're in town for one night for a Halloween party. They're all trying to randomly find guys to go with them to the party. They're all dressed as fairy tale characters, and we have Anna Paquin's character dressed as Red Riding Hood. And it's, they keep referencing that it's her first time, and they're trying to hook her up with a guy. And we actually see a lot of her story is probably the most interspersed in between other sequences. And we also kind of get maybe a mini story in between, I guess is what we're talking about, is that in the middle of town, there is a Halloween parade, and there's just a ton of people. It looks freaking awesome. If they had one around here, that would be like freaking cool to go to if it was actually like what it was in the movie, but it's one of those things that don't have many people actually care enough about Halloween. Maybe actually text them often. But anyway, so we see, people being drunk, partying, whatever, and down this alley there is a dude in Phantom of the Opera kind of cape and this chick, and they're making out, and then you see the chick starts bleeding from her neck because the dude in the cape has vampire fangs and has bit her and taken a big chunk out of her neck. She stumbles out into the crowd trying to escape the guy. People just think she's drunk and in a costume, and then he grabs her and finishes her off, and you see him leave the body behind. And that's kind of interspersed with Anna Paquin trying to find the date, and then she kind of just gives up. Her sister has this other guy kind of lined up for her at the meadow deep in the woods. We were having the party, the big bonfire that they're doing. And she's going down the road, and she runs into the vampire guy. And cut to the party. Her sister's worried about her. Her friends are kind of wondering where she is. All of a sudden, we see the Red Riding Hood cape just flying through the air, falls down the middle. Turns out it's Vampire Dude, who turns out to be Stephen Wilkins. And this was apparently his plans after cutting people's heads off and feeding them poison candy. Not necessarily in that order. But
he said he had a date tonight.
well, yeah, that was established. So the basically it's revealed that these chicks aren't human. They are killing all these people that they've brought to this meadow, and Marilyn Manson music plays. They strip off their skin and clothes and turn into werewolves, and that's the end of Stephen Wilkins.
End of that segment.
Well, there you go. This was, I kind of feel guilty looking back, but when I first watched it, I really didn't call that they were going to be real werewolves. I kind of thought maybe they'd actually have a real vampire mixed in. And that obviously isn't true. He's wearing some kind of fangs that he can actually bite people with, but he's just a normal dude, as far as we know, at least. But I don't know. It's an interesting segment for me.
It's the segment I least enjoy because all the other segments stay in their area, and then this one is spread throughout the entire movie. I mean, once that segment's over, we never see it again, but it's like up until then, all segments revolve around this one.
Well,
And I just never got into it. I mean, I like the fairy tale. I mean, who doesn't like, 20-something-year-olds and skimpy fairy tale outfits?
apparently,
Who doesn't?
kids do. There's when they're in the costume shop getting changed, there's a little kid peeping on them, and the girls are talking about their previous hookups and previous Halloweens, and the mother pulls the kid away from peeping on the girls and yells at them for what they're talking about. It's like,
Yeah, don't bother the kid that's peeking on them. It's like, trying to get a little peek, Porky style, But it just never got, I mean, a little bit of the vampire thing kind of intrigued me, saying, all right, we're going to have like a vampire kind of segment. But the Little Red Riding Hood always made me go, all right, where are they? Is she the innocent one? She's going to turn out to be bad or something like that. And then they pull the whole Van Helsing werewolf skinning scene. And it's just like, it just didn't intrigue me. I mean, granted, the skin looked like, pretty much like if you ever dipped your hand in wax and you pull it off, it looked like that. And then you get dog soldier like werewolves. It's the one segment I just never enjoy.
I don't mind the werewolves. I think the story itself is entertaining enough. It's our only TNA in the movie at the end, which is nice to have. It's obligatory for a horror film. I could have done without the Marilyn Manson Sweet Dreams song. I mean,
Yeah.
those things, I have to give it the credit that this movie was old by the time I even saw it. So, like, having that song really just felt like it dated the movie for me, but it also, I mean, it probably wouldn't, if the movie had come out in theaters when it was first released or when it was first supposed to come out, the song probably would have felt like it, oh yeah, cool song. And I just kind of was tired of it by the time the movie finally came out.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's the only time I actually enjoy listening to Marilyn Manson.
the effects, I don't like. I know there is a mythology behind it, and I mean, I don't know so much about that part of the idea of literally shedding your skin to be a werewolf instead of having Rick Baker or Rob Bottin come in and actually put appliances on, have the pus bubbles come out, and do all the really cool effects. But I mean, I love those effects, and I understand those are expensive as hell to do, and it's kind of greedy to want them in every damn werewolf movie. But I just kind of feel like we're gonna take a latex skin coating off the people. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
The werewolves themselves, I really don't have a problem with. I think they look fine. They're not my favorite. I don't need an action figure of them anytime soon. It's definitely a lot.
You have what's called Dog Soldier.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's funny because Dog Soldier and the Universal Wolfman are, I think, the only two werewolf figures I have. I think some of the few that are ever made. But I mean, American Werewolf in London, Howling 3, which I want for weird reasons. What's the other one? There's another one on my list. Ginger Snaps, of course. That would be probably the coolest looking werewolf figure just because it'd be weird. That's a weird looking werewolf. But yeah, these definitely aren't my favorite look for a werewolf by far. But there's also been a lot worse in the history of horror movies too. So I can kind of go with it. I think it's a fun story. It's in the middle of the movie or towards the end of the movie. You know,
It's the second story?
No, I think it's set in the last story. I think it goes from that one into Creed. So it spans probably the largest amount of.
Oh yeah, it does because then it goes into the kids and then it goes into the wolf. Okay, yeah, it's the second to last.
Yeah, because this segment ends with the wolves howling at the moon, and we find out later that that bit of them howling at the moon takes place about midway through the last story that we're going to talk about.
In this one, it's pretty much throughout the beginning of the movie, you see a bunch of kids collecting pumpkins. And they're doing it for a ritual, which turns out to be just a fucking prank. And so they're going from house to it starts with the first segment. They go to Wilkins, they get his pumpkin, they go to a school party, and they see a bunch of their high school school teachers in very, very scary outfits. I mean, if I was them in elementary school and I saw, one of my teachers in a Catwoman suit, I'd probably quit. Because, And then you see, a coach butt fucking a pig.
I gotta put it out here. I know we're still trying to get through the plot summary, but like two things about that because this kind of is almost a prelude to the story itself.
Yeah.
I believe in that scene, like when they go to the one teacher's house, I think that's two people. Now I think about it, I think it's two actors or actresses from Dead Like Me. I think that's Dolores and I think the sister, if I'm remembering right. I haven't IMDb'd it, so I'm too reliant on that to remember people in movies.
I just know that the cat lady is the DMV lady from Reaper.
But that was kind of funny because it's like a random. I don't even know if it's a cameo or a gig at this point, but it's fun to see those kind of actors there. And then for some reason, the line of a hot dog butt fucking pig. It's one of those lines that it's like it sounds so perfect for a kid the age that is saying it to be saying it because it's just something you don't hear adults say all that often. I don't know. It just to me felt like it was a very appropriate writing for that. And we later see the hot dog costume is in the werewolf den, so.
Yeah.
He got his, I guess.
And that leads to them picking up a girl named Rhonda, who apparently is nicknamed Rhonda the Retard, who they pick on apparently at school. So they use this kid named, was it Slater? I never even caught it. Was it Slater? They use the token hot guy to get the girl to bring them or to tag along, bring some pumpkins, and they go to the quarry, like we said earlier. Then the boss girl, or however the queen bitch, is that what we call her?
Yeah, it's funny because I know these characters have names, but it's really just I don't know. Was she the angel, the alien, the
pirate, witch, and Skullman?
The almost Devil's Reject costume, but not really. Or
Slender. But she tells the school bus story, and then the angel girl, pirate boy, and No, it was the Angel Girl, Skeleton Man, and the alien go down to the quarry, and Pirate Boy and Rhonda stay up top of the elevator.
Because the elevator will only hold 3 people at a time. So they go down and set up the jack-o'-lanterns are supposed to be like a tribute for the dead, or honoring the kids who died on Halloween. So they're putting these jack-o'-lanterns out by the quarry, by the lake. And then finally it's time for Pirate Boy, which I just can't help think about Halloween 5 when I think about like Pirate Boyfriend. But
I don't think he had a name either, just Pirate Boy.
I'm fairly certain in the credits to Halloween 5. If he really isn't credited as Pirate Boyfriend, he should be. Because that's all anybody ever knows him from.
Yeah.
They had
me and at a convention next to Daniel Harris. It's like, you're Pirate Boy.
I think she even refers to him as that. So she's forgotten who the actor is. So, whatever. She presumably read the script. But who has time to remember Halloween 5? But yeah, so they take the elevator down, and as they're going, they start hearing screams. And basically, Pirate Dude leaves the girl back by the elevator, tells her, we're here. When he comes out looking like he's covered in blood, has intestines hanging out. And she runs, falls, breaks her glasses. I think she hits her head really hard. When they reveal it was a prank. And they were just trying to mess with her and make her think that it was these zombie kids come back from the grave. Which is convenient because after they're done torturing her, they kick the last lit pumpkin into the lake, and that breaks the protection the pumpkins gave them, and the zombie kids really do emerge from the lake, which seems odd because, what kept them down there all the rest of the time, but let's not get into that. So
that leads to them. Yeah. That leads to them all running back to the elevator. You see the alien girl get dragged by chains to her death. Every time I see that, I just laugh because it's just funny how she's still dragging those chains, and all of a sudden, just like whip, and she gets dragged screaming. Then
grabbed her by her headgear or something. Because that's the one thing about this movie is it has timeless vibe to it. But I have to think it must take place in the 80s or 90s because she has the full-on headgear braces. I don't think I've seen anybody with that. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody with that in my life, but I haven't heard that being done in recent times. I might be wrong. And then people are watching VHSs at some point, so kind of feels like the movie's a little bit of a throwback in that respect. But yeah, I just think it would have been brutal to have the zombie grab her by the headgear braces and go drag her back.
Ow. 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 I had braces. Not like those. I've seen people have them, though. But just... you had to put stuff on the braces, and that even hurt if you had sensitive teeth. Just imagine someone grabbing that and just yanking. Fuck.
And that's why it was...
But it leads to Rhonda getting into the elevator, and she locks the door on the 3 remaining kids. Which, as she's going up, you just hear their screams of bloody murder. And as she exits, she's happy, she's alive, but she has no care. She's glad those 3 kids are dead.
She still has a jack-o'-lantern, which is she had her protection with her.
Yep. And as she's leaving, she sees Sam.
I guess we should mention, we've mentioned it with the werewolf scene, but before Rhonda and Pirate Boy go down into the quarry, we hear the wolves howling. So that's our trigger to know how these stories intertwine with each other. The wolves. It's actually foreshadowing in the final film, but that's our cue to kind of know when the 2 pieces take place next to each other.
Yeah.
That just leaves the ending, which is the beginning and end of the film. It begins as it ends. And we see a couple, in the intro, we see a couple coming home from Halloween, the party. We've seen them throughout the film, actually, a couple different scenes. They actually
Mostly in the party scenes, but yeah.
Yeah, we've seen them run into the girl that was being attacked by the vampire at the parade, and a couple other times we saw them. And they come home. The guy is, he's enjoying his Halloween. The girl is not. She wants to blow up the jack-o'-lantern outside their house. He tells her no, but she's like, why the hell are we going to leave this thing on? And she demands he take down the Halloween decorations on Halloween night because her mother's coming the next day. Apparently her mother hates Halloween even more than she does, which I'm sorry, that's no. But anyway, so he goes upstairs to watch a porno while she decides to take the decorations down. I guess we do get TNA at 2 different points in this movie. I kind of forgot about the porno. But while she's doing this, she's kind of looking paranoid at some Michael Myers looking kid across the road or Clockwork Orange looking kid across the road, wherever the hell he is. And while she's taking down the decorations, Sam attacks her with the cut-up lollipop that he had from the fight with Krieg. So he kills her and leaves her propped up and murdered. We found that dude finds her the next day, or that night. Yeah, it must have been that night. I think it was still dark.
It was the same night, yeah.
She's strung up with a lollipop stuffed in her mouth, and I think she has her limbs cut off or something. But also, leading up to that, at the end, we see them returning home from a different angle. We see Sam kind of observing Krieg handing out the candy at the same time. We see Rhonda coming back with her wagon. With her pumpkin.
Wagon.
And she almost gets hit by a car because her glasses are broken, and the car happens to contain the werewolf girls. So we kind of wrap up. We see all of our different parts of the story coming together on the same street at the end of the film. And
you also see the Will Wilkinson.
Oh yeah, he's on the doorstep, which I just feel so bad for that kid. Like, obviously he wasn't going to have a good upbringing with the father he had anyway. But he's sitting on his front step. He knows nothing about what's happened to his father, I'm sure at this point. He's handing out candy to
He's just dressed as him.
He's dressed as his father, as Colin mentioned earlier. And it just kind of makes me sad that, he doesn't know it yet, but his dad's not coming home. He's just going to be sitting there on the step, presumably waiting for his dad to show up, and it's never going to happen. I don't know.
So his mom's dead for who knows reasons, and you'll probably never find the father. I mean, you might find like bits and pieces because we don't know what's left of the werewolves.
I doubt much. So yeah, there's probably
It's like a shoebox.
It's a
He found his teeth.
It's a little box with a little bit of stuff left in it.
We found his teeth.
But yeah, so that basically, I guess theoretically, if you were thinking the end of the movie, you kind of get almost 2 kills at the same time because it's the same vague time frame where the Halloween-hating girl's killed and Krieg is killed by the zombie kids, I assume. It's kind of hard to know. Like I said, there's a lot of, I think of it as comic book logic where it cuts, and just because it cuts doesn't mean that there wasn't 2 hours in between the cut and the event you're seeing. So you kind of have to suspend your chronologicalness with the film, but I think it all works out. I really enjoy it. I think it's weird to talk about it like this in in order, and I'm kind of glad we did because I kind of had fun talking about it like that. But watching the movie as it unfolds makes a heck of a lot more sense, or feels like it does at least.
Yeah.
So, I guess final thoughts. What is your final thought on Trick or Treat?
If you haven't seen this movie, and if you haven't, get off your ass and go find it, either Netflix or buy the movie. It's that great. And just watch it and tell us your thoughts. I mean, it is a phenomenal anthology movie done right. It's just like Creepshow. It's just like, did you say Twilight Zone? No.
Please tell me you said Zone after that.
What?
Please tell me you said Zone after that, because I only heard the first part.
Yeah, Twilight Zone.
Okay. I mean, I think of it like it's funny because Halloween is the Halloween movie for me because just of the title, because it's been around longer than I've been alive by far, and to me that is a good fun movie to watch on Halloween. But Trick or Treat is the most Halloween movie I've ever seen. It feels like Halloween. We watched it. I mean, it's mid-August right now. I'm almost ready for Halloween, so I wasn't going to complain about watching a Halloween movie in August. But we watched the movie, and I went to go walk my dog real quick. And walking outside, I was like, "Oh yeah, it's still like 90 degrees." I was kind of just expecting to walk out and magically be fall because the movie just puts me in that mindset, and I just I see it, and I just
There's no such thing as fall in Florida.
Well, that's true. No, we get like a day or two of it in early January. But it's just I guess I don't. I mean, I like Christmas, but I don't get super nostalgic over Christmas. I don't get super into Christmas. Halloween is my favorite holiday, and I think this probably does for me with Halloween what certain Christmas movies probably do for people who are big into Christmas. It probably just gets you in that mindset, and to me, it's a perfect movie for the holiday.
I agree. I mean, it's kind of like with AMC's Fright Fest, if you ever watch that. I mean, granted, if you've never seen Halloween 5 or 4, you're going to at least once a day during Halloween AMC. Oh my God. They play that movie way too fucking much. Yep. But I think what they need to add Trick or Treat to that because that's such a good movie. It is the new Halloween. It is Halloween is it's a Halloween movie. It must be watched every year. Trick or Treat you can watch because even though it's a Halloween movie, you can watch it whenever you want because it's not the oh my God, it's Halloween. But I lost half my train of thought. Fuck.
But I guess to go with your statement, the trailer we played earlier, because I couldn't find what I wanted to play to begin the episode was the rules. Because at the beginning of the film, there's a PSA done 50s style talking about the rules of Halloween. And they used to be all over YouTube, and I just can't find it today. I'm taking out for copyright violation or what. But the trailer I did show was the Fear Net, rest in peace. Every year on Halloween, they would do a 24-hour marathon of Trick or Treat. So this was kind of a teaser trailer. It was something they would play roughly around this time of year, back to school thing. They did a few different ones. They did Christmas ones. They did Easter ones. Basically, X amount of days until Halloween and the Trick or Treat Fight Fest or whatever, Trick or Treat 24-hour marathon. So, yeah, it is. I mean, it really is. I think this and Halloween. Outside of just things, I'm sure people have their own nostalgia. People do like that asshole Charlie Brown to watch on Halloween, or I know people are really big into Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare Before Christmas, which I think is more of a Christmas movie than a Halloween movie, but we could argue that. But yeah, I really don't have anything more I want to say about it. I think it's one of my favorite movies. I think that's about all I can say.
It's definitely in my top 10 of my favorite horror movies in the past decade.
That is a qualified fuck list.
What?
That was a qualified list. My top maybe 10 horror movies in the last decade.
Well, I was about to say of all time, but then I realized no, I don't think it'd be in my top 10. But for horror movies in the past 10 years, yeah, it definitely in my top 10. Probably maybe my top 5.
I would have to actually do the legwork to see if it was in my top 10 of all time. But I think it would be close.
I say the last decade.
No, I just mean for me in general, for horror movies of all time. it's close. If it's not in my top 10, it's got to be very close to it.
Top 20?
I'm sure it'll be in the top 20.
Yeah. All right, since that was my pick for this month, do you have an idea of what you want to do next month for a movie?
I don't know exactly what I want to do. I've had some ideas. It's funny because I was trying to stay away from a giant monster movie just because you were going to do Godzilla 98 for this month. So I might go and do a giant monster movie. There's a few that I want to not torture with, but ones that I think would be worth talking about. Kind of like what I do with Madman, a movie that maybe is a little lesser known that I think people should know about. I kind of was thinking about doing one of the Daimajin movies, which is from Daiei, the same company that did Gamera. They're really cool movies. I kind of thought about subjecting you to Pulgasari, which is a North Korean kaiju movie film. It's produced by Kim Jong-il and stars basically kidnapped directors from South Korea, and they kidnapped some of the crew that worked on Godzilla 1984 and made them work on the movie. The story behind it's much more interesting than the film itself, but I kind of figured I'd throw that out here just in case I end up not picking it. But still weighing options and figure out what I'm doing. But next month, I don't know. We'll just kind of see how it goes. I don't know if I'll be able to do 2 episodes either next month because it's going to be busy. The next couple months for me are going to be jam-packed. I'm actually really excited because the first week of September, I kind of gave myself a week off work, and I'm calling it my heavy metal week. It starts off with Alice Cooper concert, which I've never seen him live. I'm thrilled to be able to see that show. And then I offered, you just couldn't swing it.
Yep, I can afford it. I hope it's good. I hope he does good. Last time he was in town, I wanted to go all out and do the meet and greet. I love Alice Cooper to death. I'm not paying $1,000 to meet him.
Holy shit. No, I'm not doing that.
His meet and greet was like $600, and that wasn't including a ticket.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll stick with my $60 ticket. I'm good. That's the most I've paid for a concert in a long time, actually, because I'm used to, when I used to live in Orlando, I'd be at House of Blues every other weekend for a $25 metal show. So I'm not really used to paying, much more than that for a show. But this, I think, is worth it. I mean, it's one of those people on my list, like, how long is he going to still be around and able to do shows?
Well, you can always catch him on a golf course.
That, too. I'd go to his restaurant.
He has a restaurant?
Yeah, I think in Arizona he has a restaurant.
Where?
Somewhere in Arizona. I don't know. I'm sure.
I don't know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And then that weekend, I'm going to Dragon Con. Not really for the con, but more for a robot competition. I used to build fighting robots. I've been out of it for about 8 years now, and currently working on one, and hopefully it doesn't completely suck. But I'm really excited for that. Like I said, I haven't done it forever, so I'm just excited to kind of go back and do it again. And it sounds like quite a few people that used to compete with are going to be there. One of the guys used to compete locally here in Florida. I used to go to all the Florida events that I went to. Then he was recently on ABC's BattleBots. He was part of the team with, oh God, I feel so bad, Jameson. I can't think of your robot's name, but they're the kids from MIT. I'm blanking. Overhaul, I think was the robot. So I think he might be going. So that'd be kind of cool if he was actually there. Plus, one of my friend that I used to build robots with in high school is going, which I'm so freaking excited for. And then coming back later that week, Guar playing here, which I'm wearing the shirt right now. Freaking love Guar. This will be my 8th show. And even though Odorous is gone, it's still fun. I saw them with Blothar in December, so I kind of know what to expect without Odorous anymore. And then later that month, I'm going to try to go see Motorhead and Anthrax in Orlando. So I think it's a Friday night. Some point, I'm going to try to work Halloween Horror Nights. I'm going to try to drag you with me, Colin. One way or another, I'll drag you down there. And then,
Yeah. That sounds like a really busy time. Yeah, the next at least next month in October, I think we'll be busy. So we might cram 2 episodes in one. October we might be able to do 2, but either have some big or 3 episodes for November. But September, Guar for me to join you and get blood soaked and thrown to a mosh pit. Yay me! So if you hear about my death, you know why. Other than that, October, hopefully going to Spooky Empire. The week before that, I'm going up north to Crypticon in Minnesota. Shout out to them. It'll be fun to do that for a weekend. I just need to, stay a hermit and save all my work money. But if I keep going to Ray and, anywhere that sells DVDs, that's not going to work.
I gotta say, I probably will be sending some money up to Minnesota with you because Lance Hendrickson, Michael Bean, and Doug Jones. Yeah, I'll probably send you some money to get those autographs for me because those would be pretty cool.
Yeah. So it'll probably be what?
I was gonna say I missed out on Lance Hendrickson. I didn't have enough money for him when he came to Spooky Empire last time he was there. Also, I was there and he was at the same con. So, You know what? I mean, I'd rather meet the celebrity to get their autograph, but if I don't have that option, there are definitely people that I would like to get autographs from.
You can always get it, and if he comes again, you can always meet him. That was Rico for you.
That's basically what I did.
But yeah. So the next 2 episodes might be just 3 because next month with him going to Dragon Con, let alone all the concerts, we might just do a quick. Hey, he's done concerts. Here's a movie. Then October, depending upon how busy with Horror Nights, Crypticon, and then Spooky, might just do one, just saying, hey, we're going to have a big-ass episode in November with the cons that we're hitting, and then just do a movie. So you have a while to think for a movie to whatever you want to do. Because I changed mine last minute.
It'd be kind of funny. Maybe not do an actual episode. Maybe film some footage we can throw in there directly after the bar.
Oh, fuck.
It's the blood-drenched episode.
Yeah. Yeah, we're drenched.
Yeah,
the blood-soaked episode.
Unless you've got anything else to add in here, I think we could probably sign off on this one.
Check out Broken Glory Gaming on YouTube as much as you can. We're slowly pushing more content out right now. We're just getting back into the work of things. So give them a look. And also check out Drunken Zombie, the podcast. They're on iTunes, on Facebook. Worth listening to.
And, yeah, I guess anybody local, check out Papa Ray's Movie Crypt because, he's basically bribing me into it's really good DVDs and stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
And in case you guys pause that, do not check out the email link because apparently we were told that it doesn't work. He'll get a hold of one of us and tell us that if it does or doesn't work, so we can correct that later on.
Yeah, I think you might need to get a new card, but I'm sure that's an expense that's a little crazy right now. But anyway, of course, you're on my channel right now, but check out Outside the Box Reviews. I've got plenty of cool stuff coming up. Hopefully new monster arts, new mega aliens, new predators coming soon, more X Plus figures, all kinds of random awesome crap. And I don't know. I think that's enough random plugs for crap. Check out.
We can hear your wallet crying.
Yeah, well, you know what? I do it to myself. But yeah, so this has been episode 3. It almost feels like we've done more than this. But yeah, episode 3.
No, we just talk a lot.
Yeah.
We just don't film it.
Yeah, only however many days till Halloween. So crank up the Silver Shamrock tune, and we'll see you next time.